another episode of the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Allison.
And I'm Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, babe. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little under the weather, so sorry if I'm clearing my throat or
Well, I know
sounding a little froggy.
There was that one guy that said you were very whiny and nasally in our review.
No, he didn't say that. He said I talk through my nose.
Oh, I just say you're whiny.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
say I'm whiny.
Yeah,
he says
sorry.
I talk through my nose.
My
That's
bad.
the difference there.
It's hard. I get those confused.
So I took up smoking Marlboros. I pull the filter out now.
Oh.
I really want to hit it hard. I've never been a smoker in my life, but I thought, you know what? I'm edging on 43.
Now's the time.
Now is the time.
Yeah, you should try Camels. I think those are kind of cool.
That's what I have. Well,
You said Marlboro.
I said Marlboros.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with the Marlboro Reds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I
try
like
those.
the hit it gives me.
Yeah, well, you sound good. Keep it up. I think it's necessary. All those like good singers and crooners. They
That
like
raspy.
Frank Sinatra. He smoked. Everybody smoked. Back
Yeah,
then.
he was a smoker.
Everybody
Big
did.
drinker too.
Yeah, like it was kind of like coming out of the womb. You're smoking.
Yeah.
And dumping the ashtray on your pregnant belly.
Exactly.
The mom kind of thing. Yeah, so welcome to the show. Please follow us on Instagram or Twitter if you'd like to chat with us. Send us a note, whatever. That's Crime and Coffee 2. That's what you can find us as, the number 2. And hey, we've got some real momentum, it seems. Like a lot of people listen to us on all sorts of different platforms, and Audible and Spotify and obviously Apple Podcasts and all that. Lily, we have a brand new Patreon, Lily. Colleen increased her donations, which you're crazy, Colleen.
What a lovely woman.
Yeah, you don't have to do that stuff. It's just anything. If you really appreciate us, that's fine. And if you can't donate, that's cool too. Just like tell a friend or something and leave us a 5-star review. Okay?
Yeah, we appreciate it so much.
That's all we ask. Thank you again so much. So,
what's been going on with you there, fella?
Oh, you know everything. I've been traveling this week. I was in Nashville, Tennessee. So that was a little like work conference going on out there. And was there for like 3 days, so that's usually a little longer than I like. But and quick shout out to our friend Lauren, who was also traveling for work, and she got stuck in Atlanta for like the Atlanta airport for like 8 hours. Her flight
something
got
close
canceled.
to that. Her flight kept getting canceled, and she was going to rent a car, but then she'd be driving through a storm, so she wanted to wait it out.
Yeah.
And she's currently on the road. She's a loyal listener too, and she's hosting a brunch this afternoon.
God bless her.
So I will be attending said brunch. But the poor girl, she's a trooper, because the last thing in the world I would want to do after what she's been through is host people at my house.
Yeah, it's one of those parties where you sell like clothes and stuff, so other people are counting on her too, which sucks. Like it's not just like you could be like, well, I'm not having my thing. It's like I'm not having your thing at my house.
Exactly.
Like, where you can start to sell stuff to my friends, and
But it would be totally reasonable if she did
course.
bow out.
Absolutely, but I know her. She's kind of doesn't want to let people down.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't either way. But yeah, I was in Nashville, and it was just standard stuff, talking to a bunch of people and clients and stuff. It was fine. So just glad to be back home, and going to be working. I don't have another trip, I think, scheduled.
Well, that makes me happy, because I'm telling you, ladies, working as a single parent,
Oh, you poor thing.
it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. But luckily I have neighbors that help out. And the worst is, though, when you're getting under the weather and you have kids, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're sick. Your kids don't care. Well, like, our daughter cares.
She does.
Our son, like I said, would walk over my dead body on the floor.
Well, and you kind of yelled at me yesterday because I was kind of propositioning you a little bit, and you're
nice, Mike. Real classy.
as men or people do in these times and days. And
in these times and days.
Yeah, and you were like, oh, real nice. Instead of that, you should have been offering to make me tea. And I was like, that is true. But at the same time, like yesterday, you didn't sound sick. The past like few days, you didn't sound sick at all.
It was all inside. Actually, I feel better today. I sound worse, but I feel better. It was just like achiness.
It was trying to get out. It was
it was miserable. And I don't do well being sick, because I am the type of person that I go from the second I wake up until I go to bed.
Yeah, you don't give yourself a rest.
And I don't. And even being sick, I was home Friday because I was off of work because I worked Wednesday. And even then, I just like push through, but inside I'm like, oh my God.
Right. And it's not because I don't care. It's because, or I don't think that you're actually sick. It's just I forget, because you're actually going around. You seem totally fine until you're like, oh, I feel rough. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's sick. And so I was like, okay. So I made a note. I'm like, you want tea? You want tea? You want tea? And
then you made the tea and then left it up on the counter. I'm like, how's my tea coming? And I always will say it. I will say it again. If ever I'm a quadriplegic, I will die very soon.
Yeah.
I will have wounds. I will be dehydrated and emaciated.
Right.
It's not because you don't care.
No.
It's because you forget.
Yeah, I'll get into something else, like tinkering in the upstairs or something.
No, there's no tinkering.
Well,
it's all
there's
on your
tinkering.
phone.
A phone or video game of some sort. Some kind of an
Tinkering.
entertainment piece. I've been getting into some games. I saw this. Oh, I got first class on both ways.
You so fancy.
Yeah. It was kind of nice because I'm part of the gold of American Airlines.
Ooh,
which
he's
isn't
gold.
Which on
wow.
It's like the first level, so it's not like super high.
What's the top level?
Like elite, platinum elite or something. It's like gold, platinum elite plus, like platinum elite executive. There's like all these platinums that like.
Oh wow!
Like unless you're flying like 2-3 times a week, you're not hitting those.
It must be Nigel with the brie.
Well, you get on an upgrade list, and if there's availability in first class, then you get put into first class.
Did you get brie and champagne?
No, just got a gin and tonic one way.
Caviar?
I didn't even want it. No, I got nuts. Nuts and
got
seeds,
nuts.
like nuts and seeds, and I think cranberry little things. But
wow.
Yeah, I was hoping for like a pork tenderloin or something.
So
Not
you
that I
had
eat
gin
that.
and tonic just because you could.
Yes,
You didn't even want it.
The way there, I had a water because it was early. The way back, I just got a gin and tonic. Didn't want it. Just wanted to get free first class. So there was one guy in first class that was like, "Hey, keep them coming," and gave him like a $20 bill. And he just
God,
kept
what a douche.
Well, no, that's what you got to do if you want.
Keep them coming. His
Well-
penis is probably micro.
You say that in front of our kids way too much. Way too much.
Well, it's the truth.
They definitely know about small penises from what guys that rev their engines and big trucks, I believe.
Anyone who's being obnoxious in their car.
So yeah, and sorry for anybody that has big trucks with an
Or
average.
if you have a micro penis, I'm sorry too. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you do, so
And
it's
not
okay.
their fault. It's not their fault.
Of course, it's not their fault, but I don't want to hear your damn engine revving.
Right.
You were born with the micro penis, or what are you going to do about it?
That's not very nice. And there's also some like listeners. I meant to mention there's somebody on Audible that left a review that said they're a Packers fan, which is if anybody knows, I'm a Chicago Bears fan.
We are Chicago Bears
That's true.
household.
I have a Bears tattoo on my butt, so
Yes,
it's
you
especially.
do.
And he mentioned me. He said, "Mike, I'm a Packers fan, but still listen to you guys anyway."
And we appreciate you. Even if you're a Packers fan, we don't respect your choice of team.
Right. Hey, some of my better friends are Packers
Yes.
fans, so it's okay.
It's all in good fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a game.
Yeah. Sorry to keep on going, but how's your week looking? I mean, I guess we kind of talked about you.
Yeah,
anyways.
just feeling crummy. It just sucks.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm feeling better today, so what are you gonna do? You just gotta put one foot in front of the other.
You got to put
My parents
one
are here
foot
too.
in front of the other.
They came up for the weekend.
other foot down.
Thanks,
down.
Mike. We all know the song.
It was Talking Heads.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So I wanted to get this podcast started, so I'm like, we got to record at 7 a.m. And then this Nimrod here.
You're pointing at me for those not watching on video. Oh, we also have a YouTube channel. People are subscribing to that, so I'm putting them out more regularly now. So.
Do people say Nimrod anymore?
No, but that's good use. I like using things from the old days. That's good.
Well, you have your alarm set for like 6:44. When I say I want to record at 7, you're setting your alarm for 6:44, and then you're telling me a couple more minutes.
I cannot and I will not wake up.
I
the first
said
alarm.
that's fine. Set it earlier then.
No.
Yes.
That's your answer. No.
I'm telling you, if I get through this lifetime without murdering you, it's going to be a freaking miracle. And speaking of our friend Lauren, she knows you very well because she works with you. She's your boss.
Yeah.
So she can really sympathize with me and how you are with your podcast researching to the last minute.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that to her. She's like, "Oh yeah, I can." Totally
She
see
told me, she's like, I sympathize with you.
I need a deadline for things to happen. So yeah, that's. I'm not one that like plans a lot. I just know I'm going to get.
You fly by the seat of your pants and you get it done.
I do,
and you do it well.
So far. But
It's just not how I work.
Right.
But that's okay. Not everybody has to be like
well,
me,
like
Mike.
yeah. For instance, real quick, yesterday you're like, "Can you set up all the stuff?" Because we set up and tear down every time we set up stuff for the YouTube channel.
We don't have like a dedicated podcast room. We use your office.
Right. We will at some point. But yeah, so I set it all up. I'm like, I would never even do this because it takes about 5-10 minutes before we actually do it. So I was like, this is not me at all, but I'm doing it to please my wife.
This is not me at all. I'm just going to do this for my crazy wife.
Because I know in her head that she wants something done. And I didn't do it enough, I'm sure. Because
No,
I
you didn't.
I didn't set up the microphones. I did set up the stands that you see here. There's a camera. There's
Microphones weren't set up. Headphones weren't.
There's a lot of things.
We
folks,
always
okay?
say Mike never goes from A to Z. He goes from A to Y.
A to Y. Yeah, because that's
Like,
mostly enough.
You'll unload the dishwasher and leave 2 cups out.
Not on purpose. Again, I get distracted.
I'm
I
like
sound
Mike,
like
A to Z.
a complete idiot and moron. I don't know how I'm functioning and have, just my faculties at
Well, I
40.
love you. You're a successful, handsome, charming man.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change a thing about you.
Hey, successful in family life.
We're coming up on 20 years of marriage. We must be doing something right. And we've been together for 25 years.
And what I say is I still like her.
Oh, I was watching the show Euphoria, which is on HBO Max.
Oh.
Wowza, that's a heavy one. And I'll keep this quick. But they were talking about high school relationships. And the one guy was like, when it ends. And the girl says, you mean if? And he goes, no, I mean when. Things that start in high school do not last. And I'm like, that's not true.
Well, your
because
parents,
Mike and I
my
met.
Parents?
No, your parents didn't meet in high school. What the hell
no.
are you talking about?
I mean, your parents and us. Yeah, my parents, my dad was a floozy. My mom was a floozy.
You always said she had to move to Atlanta because she slept with all the guys in Chicago.
Yes, she moved to Chicago. Chicago, banged all the guys there. Moved to Atlanta, banged most of the guys there. Came back, met my father in a bar, probably drunken,
You
drunken
probably don't
like
remember
sailors.
their first
No.
encounter.
First kiss, whatever, all that stuff. But yeah, that's okay. And I'm completely not like that at all.
So we met when we were 16. My parents met when they were 15. So
My parents met when they were like 30.
So again, Mike, I might be just joking on you, but I do respect you as a
Oh,
person.
thank you, my love.
Yeah, I like you a lot.
I like you too.
All right, on that note, let's get started.
Let's do it.
So this is a story of the Newell family murders.
That sounds familiar. Newell.
I did not know of this story. So Elizabeth and Nicholas Newell were a wealthy couple. They raised their 2 sons in Jersey. Now you might think, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say Jersey?
Jersey Shore, Jersey, the Housewives.
Yeah, you think of the state of New Jersey. No, this is a different this is a different Jersey, but New Jersey actually got its name from this place.
Oh, wait, where is this?
Off the UK. It's So it's part of the Channel Islands in the English Channel off the French coast of Normandy.
And if I can say, we do have a number of listeners in the UK. It's so confusing to me between England and UK and Great Britain and Ireland and Scotland because they're all part of like UK, I guess, right?
Yeah, it is a little confusing to me because I've never been there.
Yeah, and that's my problem.
If I've been there, I'm good.
I have a friend from England too, so I mean, I could talk to him and I'm sure he'd be more than happy to tell me all about it.
I want to go to England so bad.
So Jersey overseas over there. Okay.
Yeah, so it's part of the Channel Islands in the English Channel, like I said, off the French coast of Normandy. So Jersey is pretty ritzy. It houses some of the richest people in the UK. It's a small island. It's about 9 by 5 miles. And actually the term jerseys referring to sweaters came from this place.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I guess it's famous for their wool.
Wow.
Interesting, right?
So like a jersey, like in sports jersey?
Yeah, it's the terminology jersey. They're referring to sweaters.
Yeah, sure.
Which
back in
we
the
don't
day,
call sweaters jerseys, but
well, no, okay. But I mean, back in the day, like sports jerseys were sweaters.
They were.
So they called them jerseys.
yes, this comes from Jersey.
Wow, neat.
So I had never heard of this place, but it's really pretty. It's an island, obviously. It's surrounded by water. It's beautiful. So of course it's expensive to live. So the couple met and married in 1963. They didn't mean to settle in Jersey. It was kind of an accident. So they settled there in 1967. To give you an idea of what they're like, Nicholas Newell came from old Scottish money. His family was involved in the shipbuilding business. Elizabeth Newell had inherited money from her parents who were successful farmers.
Ah, so both of them had some money to bring
They
in.
did,
Money.
yes. And they both worked as teachers, but they resigned from their positions in 1968. When you come from money, you get to resign when you're young.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the
Perks. Right.
And they purchased a yacht. Another perk
Well, you got to do that.
of
That's
coming from money.
What are you going to do all day if you don't have a yacht?
Exactly. So they happened to be on holiday. They took a year off to sail. How amazing would that be?
It's kind of scary.
It would be scary, but if you're prepared and you're tracking the weather properly,
Yeah,
I think you're okay.
I get the freedom and everything. I get where people would want to do that. Not for me. Just not for me.
What? Just not knowing if something can happen at sea?
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
It's like, I'm not meant to be hanging out on the sea. I love water. I love swimming. I love scuba. And scuba is, I mean, I've never actually scuba dived, but I
you would
love
like to, and you need to.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And that's nice of you to say. Support my needs. And
I do
wants.
want to support you.
And I know you would never do it, but
No, I would scuba. I just don't want to go deep.
right. Okay. Well, we'll see.
It
And,
scares the hell out of me to think of all that space between me and the top of the water.
you can't get up if
Yeah.
you need to. Yeah, I wouldn't go super, super deep, but enough where it'd be interesting. But anyways, like water out in the open sea is just scary to me.
It is scary, but again, if you're well researched and educated, you're fine because you know the weather systems. You know what to expect.
I just feel like if I was hiking somewhere, then I could like, okay, I see a cell coming in, I could run, I can find some shelter. In the water, it's like you got what you got.
You're stuck.
You're screwed. Yeah.
So, they were out at sea. They were planning on sailing from Scotland to the West Indies, like down by the Caribbean.
I never, every time I hear the West Indies, I think of like way back in history class. And
Well,
they sailed to the Indies. I'm like, oh, okay.
I am a geography moron.
Yeah,
So I
you
have
are.
to look things
Certified
up.
moron.
Because again, if I haven't been to a place, I don't know it.
Right.
Well. So I had to literally look, okay, where would they have gone from Scotland to the West Indies? Well, they were en route, but their son Mark became ill, so they had to stop in Jersey while they fell in love.
Oh, cool.
So they decided to stay there and raise their kids. I mean, that's great. So the couple got part-time teaching jobs. They purchased a home. I guess it was called the Crow's Nest because it was like way up at the top.
So they got part-time teaching jobs after they stopped?
Yeah.
Okay.
And once they settled and made it their home.
Got it.
So they bought a house called the Crow's Nest. It had absolutely amazing views of the island.
I love houses that have like names already.
Yeah, it's really cool. I always wanted to name our house.
Let's do it.
And I don't know if it's like a cottage thing because obviously I love the movie The Holiday and they name their houses.
What is the name of the cottage in The Holiday?
What is hers? Is it Rose Cottage? No.
Maybe.
You're putting me on the spot. And then what Jude Law has, his cottage has a name too. I
interesting.
can't think of it off the top of my head. It's one of my favorite movies, but and they also purchased a villa in Spain.
Oh.
I mean, they are living the life.
Wow.
Beautiful house in Jersey, a yacht, and a villa in Spain. I mean, it doesn't get
pretty good.
much better than that.
No.
But of course, we know I'm talking about the story, so things don't stay good for the Newell family.
Kind of wonder where it happens.
Yeah. So those that knew the couple said that Elizabeth and Nicholas loved life. They had a big zest for life. Elizabeth was described as jolly, a happy person who loved to enjoy herself. You could tell in their pictures, they love to party, they love to have fun. Kind of the opposite of me. I like to have fun,
well,
but
you're not really known as somebody who loves to enjoy herself. You're more like known as somebody who likes to stress herself out and just like, always get things done.
Like they were very, very social.
Yeah.
And
kind of like the Great Gatsby's, like just having parties. I don't even know
Yeah.
who the Great Gatsby's are, but I saw the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, so I have a good idea.
And I guess when you only have a part-time teaching job, you can handle these like little raving parties
yeah, I
or
think
whatever.
the part-time teaching job was just something to do.
Yeah, maybe, and just a little bit of income. I don't know, but they were big into investing too.
Well, you have to be.
Yeah.
To be really rich, like truly rich, you have to own things that make money, called assets. You need assets to be able to make you money while you're sleeping.
Yeah, your money needs to make you money.
That's how you're truly rich, is if you have things making money while you're sleeping.
Well, we need to do that. I need something to make me money while I sleep.
Well, you got to buy it. That's the
okay.
thing.
Let's buy it.
Right.
Oh, we need money to do that. Damn. Oh, foiled again.
And here we are.
So, like I said, Elizabeth led a very active social life. This social life, obviously, when you have two children, that's the problem. Something has to give. I have a full-time job. I have a family. I have two kids. I'm going to choose to focus my attention on certain areas. Then obviously other areas are going to give. Personally, my social life has had to give a little bit because I want to be there for my kids.
Well, someday the kids are going to be grown up, and then you won't have any friends.
Oh, I'm going to a brunch with my girlfriends. I'm going away for next weekend with my girlfriend. I don't like
That's good.
diss my friends. Okay. But it's just they're focusing their attention on their social life. Obviously, their attention is going to falter from their kids. So it was, often separating the parents from the children. The boys were sent to boarding school in England. They themselves, when they were younger, went to boarding school. So they kind of carried on the tradition. They sent their boys. The cost of the school was about £30,000 per year. The boys didn't excel in academics, though they were very good in sports. They were very social, but they didn't like boarding school at all.
£30,000 a year. Sorry to stop you here. You probably don't know. But
no, I don't know.
I think a pound is in the area of a U.S. dollar. So, it's not like pesos or something where it's thousands off. So
it's pretty close, yeah.
I mean, this is in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
So that's pretty expensive for that back then.
It is.
You got to think at least $15,000 US at least. Let's just assume it's half. And
And
wow.
again, that was like probably back in the mid 70s.
I mean, that's expensive now.
If not, like
so.
maybe it was upper 70s.
Right.
But it was very expensive. So they were investing all this money in their kids' education. Like I said, that's what they did when they were young.
Sure.
So again, the boys loathed boarding school. So their resentment of the situation grew when they were forced to stay in the UK during the summer holiday when their parents were traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So they would often stay with their uncle, Nicholas's brother Stephen, or their aunt Elizabeth, which was Nancy's sister.
I picture like Ebenezer Scrooge type thing where they're like, goodbye, when he's a little kid.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
That's really what it was.
Huh.
And I don't know if I said it right, but it was Aunt Nancy. So they either stayed with Uncle Stephen or Aunt Nancy when their parents were out and about.
Okay.
They called their Aunt Nancy Nan.
Okay.
So the boys, really, they were rarely seeing their parents. And meanwhile, their parents were enjoying time at their hilltop house in Jersey. They were either on their yacht or at their vacation home in Spain.
And I'm sorry, why didn't they see their parents? Why'd they stay with them? Just because the parents were busy?
The parents were often, like if they were on a school break, the parents could be on their yacht somewhere.
Well, come back and see your kids.
That's just the thing. I mean, I prioritize my children as first.
I guess like it's different time a little bit. They didn't prioritize their kids as much.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends too where you go. Like you could go to New York City where there's ritzy areas and all you see are nannies.
Yeah.
So there's people that are so busy in their careers that their children are basically being raised by their nannies.
Right. Yeah.
So that happens.
Sure.
I just never wanted that for my children. I wanted to be the one that was there. So, like I said, the parents were splitting their time between the three places: Jersey, yacht, Spain.
Okay.
So they often spent their winters in Spain. And the couple themselves, they were very close, very loving. But oftentimes the same affections weren't expressed toward their sons. It's not that they didn't love their kids. It was just their focus wasn't there.
I don't like that at all.
No, it's sad.
Yeah.
By the early 1980s, Roderick... Oh, I'm sorry. I never even mentioned the name of their sons. It's Roderick and Mark.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Roderick, like from Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yes, sir. Exactly what I thought of.
See, I read the finest classics.
You got it.
Yeah, no, our kid loves Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah. So by the early 1980s, Roderick and Mark were in their teens. Elizabeth and Nicholas were spending the majority of the year in Spain. So Aunt Nancy would come to Jersey to be with the boys, even at Christmas. So, major holiday like Christmas, they weren't even with their parents.
So their mom was practically Aunt Nancy,
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, God. I don't have a lot of respect for parents that have kids.
Well, it's like, why have kids?
Yeah. I mean, now, like you said, if you're super busy and, you choose your career, that's one thing. But I think they have enough free time where they can spend them with their kids.
Yeah, they were having fun in their free time.
Yeah, and I always think that, kids didn't ask to be born. So you kind of have this responsibility. Whether you like it or not, they're your children.
And once you do have kids, your priorities just shift.
Right.
Everything focuses, not everything, because you have to have a life. There has to be balance. You don't want to like ram your head up your kid's ass and then they go off to college and you're like, who am I? What am I doing?
Yeah, you can't be.
You still have to have an identity outside of your kids.
Right, sure.
But, their focus was like really elsewhere.
Yeah, just having fun.
Yeah, and it's not that they were bad people. You know what I'm saying? They just...
That's up for debate, I would say.
I guess it is.
Yeah.
So, like I said, they weren't with their kids at Christmas. They knew they wouldn't be, so they would pre-buy their gifts and hide them in drawers in the house. And then when they would talk to Mark or Roderick, they would say, okay, here's where your presents are. But who cares? Sometimes even when you're a kid, you're like, whatever, I just want to be with my family.
Well, it's like makes Nicholas and Elizabeth feel better that they bought things, but it's like, that's not the same thing.
No, it's not. You can't buy love.
No.
So as they finished school, Roderick and Mark felt pushed aside, kind of rightly so,
Of course.
by their parents. They felt it wasn't fair how they had been treated by them. On the other side, Elizabeth and Nicholas were feeling let down because their kids didn't excel in school as they wished they would after spending so much money on their private education.
Yeah.
So,
School's not for everybody, man.
Exactly. Some people just...
School is just a test of like how well you can take tests, basically.
It really is. And obviously you have to do your homework and stuff like that. It's just tough because you're sitting in a desk for so many hours of the day.
It seems so unnatural.
Yeah. I feel like there's better ways to do it.
Yeah. Like, hundreds of years ago, there wasn't like sitting there for 9 hours a day listening to like arithmetic and,
well, and the whole like gen eds in college, like I just remember the first 2 years of college. I'm like, what in the hell am I taking sociology for?
I already did this.
Like I'm going into nutrition.
You're right. And it's like 15, 20 grand a year, just wasted money.
And I'm sitting in the psychology class at like 8 o'clock at night, and this guy's like,
rabbits and carrots.
Yeah,
Like,
wasn't even a good
he
teacher.
he was a horrible teacher. Like, he couldn't formulate a sentence, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just spit it out.
I remember you saying icy cream.
Icy cream.
he's like, so say you're going to spend $2 on icy cream.
You're
It
like,
was so
I
funny.
can't concentrate because you say ice cream funny.
Icy cream.
Yeah.
He was just a bad teacher. I don't
Yeah.
care about his accent,
No.
but his teaching skills were subpar.
Yeah.
So yeah, school is tough. It's not for everybody, but yeah, the Newells were kind of feeling let down. However, despite, not being stellar in school, Mark did end up being successful. He had a good career in finance. He worked for one of Jersey's main international banks. Mark was described as clever, sharp, and capable of making large amounts of money. He was very focused. He was shy, introverted, and rarely with women. And one of the documentaries I listened to said he was basically described as asexual. Didn't really show any interest in either sex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, that's happening more and more. Like, I would say, a lot of kids aren't interested in dating and sexual stuff or going to look for girls or guys. Or
I don't
whatever.
know if that's like self-preservation because you're scared to put yourself out there.
Yeah, it's
it
just
might
safer.
be.
You're right.
Because it's hard to put yourself out there.
But now I'm worried about shy and introverted.
Yes, so he was a shy and introverted person.
Introverts are fine, but just
Sure.
you got to get out there.
Well, what do they always say? Isn't it always the quiet ones?
Right. That's what now it's like bum bum bum.
So, however Mark was, Roger was kind of on the other end of the spectrum. He was a ladies' man. He was handsome, dashing, attracted many women.
Wow.
As confidence often does. Oftentimes, it's not even about your looks; it's about your confidence.
Well, look at me. I look terrible, but I can probably,
I'm rolling my eyes right now, just so you know.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I've always done pretty decently. Maybe not as recently. I used to say, hell, that chick's looking at me. I get a lot less of that now.
Well, we are 43 years
Yeah.
old or 42.
Yeah, and you haven't heard me say it recently. You'd always be like, oh, yeah, that girl was looking at you. But I'm
I
like,
wouldn't say it like that to make you feel bad.
but you're always like, oh, you think everybody's looking at you. And I'm like, well, not everybody, but I notice when a girl catches my eye and she stares a little bit longer than usual. I'm like, well, there's something potentially there. And you're so totally right. You have some confidence, you get a little funny, and the world is your oyster as a man, basically.
It's so much more about confidence and sense of humor.
Yeah.
That charms people. I mean, I don't care if you look like frickin' David Beckham. If you have the personality of a shoe, I'm not going to look twice at you.
Well, you might do something once or twice.
Perhaps, but I'm talking like longer term relationships.
Right. Yeah, true.
But it's funny because, like you said, I would say to you, oh, you think everyone's looking at you, whereas you'd be like, oh, that guy just looked at your butt. And I'd be like, what?
Are you crazy?
I would never see myself as somebody that people would look twice at. But
She has a great butt, folks, just so you know.
thanks, Mike.
It's wonderful.
I do a lot of squats.
I saw it earlier.
Yeah, I was getting dressed this morning.
She
Thank you.
was,
And my
yeah.
perverted octopus arm husband. I swear he's like a 15-year-old. So Roderick decided on a career in the British Army and ended up joining the famous Royal Green Jacket Infantry Regiment.
Ah, that's like the Green Berets or something, or Navy SEALs kind of thing. That's a very, very highly thought of position.
So he went in that direction.
That was Roderick?
Roderick, yes. So he was taught how to kill and handle interrogation while in the Army. Despite being in the Army, Roderick's discipline wasn't always on point. He often challenged authority, and he regularly smoked pot at his barracks.
Whoa, what a bad person.
So bad.
What a terrible human being.
But had he been caught, this really could have gotten him discharged.
Back then, that was a big deal.
So he really was defying authority by choosing to do this.
Yeah. And
right
that's
on the
part of
Army
it.
bass.
Right.
Bass. Again, folks, I've not been feeling well. I've been very clumsy lately.
Slapping the bass.
You told me yesterday, you're like, I'm a little concerned about you.
I kind of am. If a stroke's coming, then there's lots of signs here. So,
There's not a stroke coming. I just don't feel good.
Allison has her shit together for the family. And if we lose her, we are completely screwed. Because like we said, I'm not good at keeping things together. You give me a couple things to do. Yeah, compartmentalize, no problem. But the whole thing, it's going to go down pretty quick. So we'll see.
This ship is sinking.
Hey, send some thoughts and prayers for me, folks.
Please. So he really was playing with fire by smoking on the Army base.
Right.
But, that's just his MO. He was a kind of a wild child.
Mm-hmm.
So during this time that Roderick lived on the Army base, Mark lived in his own flat in Jersey. His parents remained up in the crow's nest on their hilltop house. Mark put his career first and ended up leaving Jersey for London. It sounds like he may have kept his Jersey home though. So he was able to go off and travel to London to work.
That's what people do when they're rich. They keep homes and then you can rent them out.
Yeah.
Or just stay in, whatever.
It's there for you when you want to come back.
And then that's an appreciating asset because usually house values go up. And then
Yep.
people that have a lot of money have a lot of real estate usually.
I would love to have that.
Yes.
I'd be like, let's go to our home in Paris.
Right.
And you're like, Allison, you don't speak like that. You were born in Oaklawn, Illinois.
But I say,
Get yourself together. So he basically put all his eggs in the work basket.
And it makes
Pardon
sense
me.
being in finance that he'd be moved into London and checking that out.
Sure,
because,
big city.
Yeah, you said he worked for a big bank and everything. A lot of finance in London.
Yeah. So he basically was a workaholic. He worked long hours. And if he was home, he was by himself watching movies and getting takeaway. Because that's what we say in England.
Probably some Indian,
Yeah.
like curry.
Man, would it be nice to have an Indian place right down the street. It's one of my favorite foods. So good.
Good to know.
Anywho, Nicholas and Elizabeth spent money at a rate that just was not sustainable. You know, they had a lot of social obligations, lots of traveling. So money was flowing.
Well, that's the problem. If you have no money coming in, you got to really manage the money that's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like they had some trust funds, especially Nicholas, like old money from what do you say, shipping or whatever.
Yeah. Shipping business.
So I would imagine he would have quite a big chest of money.
Perhaps. And again, they also invested, but they were often making poor investment decisions. So, they could have been really funneling their money out.
Yeah.
They lived a life of luxury in Jersey as well as Spain. They were partying with friends whenever they had the chance. They lived by the philosophy that life was to be lived and enjoyed and to live in the present.
So they're basically socialites.
They really were.
Yeah.
I mean,
they
honestly.
didn't really bring anything to society.
They were teachers.
Barely.
But yeah, they liked to
And
party and live
nothing
their
wrong.
lives.
Hey,
I mean, that's great.
If you can do that, God bless you. Go for it.
And I think you should always have the philosophy that life is to be lived because
Absolutely.
we're working for a reason. We're saving our money. You got to take those trips. You got to experience things like
Because you're going to look back in like 5 years and be like, I didn't do anything in 5 years. I have
Yeah.
more money, but it's like, for what?
what's it doing for me?
Right.
So that's why my biggest thing is travel. Like
Absolutely.
I'm very passionate about that.
I'd rather take an awesome European trip than get granite countertops. Like
Yeah, I'd like to somehow manage both. That's my MO.
my MO. We're talking
El
about
Cheapo
MOs.
here.
Yeah, we're let's go take some trips.
I would love to. I mean, going to Europe is such a dream of mine. So, they had that philosophy and they really stuck to it. So, as good as Mark was with money, Roderick struggled. He had issues making ends meet while in the army. So, during one summer on leave, he was back in Jersey. He had asked his mom for help in paying for his bills. Elizabeth wanted him to be more financially stable like Mark, so she refused to help him. This made Roderick so enraged at her refusal that he punched his mother.
Whoa, your mother.
He punched his mother.
Oh, God. This is Roderick?
Roderick.
Obviously, yeah, he's the guy that has
Roderick
the
is a hothead.
Ugh, that's so terrible. Gosh.
Yes.
I mean,
Can you imagine Cameron punching me? Cameron is our 13-year-old.
I would do bad things. Like, it's just like you don't punch your mother, a woman. I mean, if a woman's coming at you, punching you in the face, go ahead, defend yourself. But
Well, and it's like such a tantrumy baby reaction. It's like you were told no, so you're gonna raise your fist and punch me.
that's certifiable. Like, you got to be put into jail for that.
I
or
mean, that's
something.
just sickening, really.
Absolutely gross.
So Elizabeth ended up forgiving Roderick, but when Mark heard about what happened, he was shocked and disgusted. But at the same time, he kind of wasn't
Mark,
that
the brother.
surprised.
Mark,
Yes,
okay.
his brother. He was himself scared of Roderick because he knew that he was so easy to fly off the handle.
Yeah, and obviously, you
Yeah.
punch your own mom, you're definitely a problem.
Yeah, it's like, get your shit together. So by the mid-1980s, Roderick's anger and resentment towards his parents continued to grow. He was very concerned because he was seeing them spend without care on their lavish lifestyle. With this, his nest egg is dwindling. He's watching it shrink before his eyes.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not yours to have, but at the same time, like, they got it from their parents. Like, can I have some of it too? And then you're like, you're just out there wasting it. Like, how dare you? Yeah, it's a tough one.
So, in order to replete their draining account, Nicholas and Elizabeth decided to sell their Jersey hilltop home in 1987.
The crow's nest.
Yeah, the crow's nest was sold. They decided to purchase a small bungalow at a much less cost. So, smart financial decision.
Yeah.
Mark and Roderick were heartbroken, though, because that was their childhood home.
I probably bought them like $1 million or something.
Yeah, but they also feared that their inheritance was draining away, like I said.
Yeah, well, childhood homes, it's like you attach like these emotions to a thing, and it's like someday you're going to leave this house, like
Right.
someday. So may as well, if you make the best financial decision.
And
like,
it's just like kind of get over it. My childhood home was sold as I graduated high school. So I've been out of my childhood home since I was 18. My parents sold our Illinois house and moved to Florida. So
my parents still live in my kind of childhood home.
it was your childhood home. You were there since you were in fifth grade.
Fifth grade, yeah. So, and I'm actively trying to get them to sell it. So if somebody wants to buy a home in Orland Park, Illinois, let me know.
It's really nice.
Beautiful property.
Yeah, nice property.
Right on the lake.
Mm-hmm. So the bulk of the Newell's money was invested in the insurance markets. In early 1986, Mark urged his parents to withdraw their money, predicting a downturn in the markets. They did not heed his advice, and on Monday, October 5th, 1987, as Mark got to work, he discovered that the insurance market had crashed.
Oh, no, that sucks. No, Mark's going to be flying off the handle.
Oh, now again, Mark is the level-headed, responsible one.
Oh,
However, this
right.
was a big thing because he warned them. He said, "You got to get your money out."
Yeah.
They didn't.
That's the worst when you say, like,
I told
something's
you.
going to happen, and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, on further digging, Mark found that his parents would need to pay a lifetime of annual fees to the insurance market, amounting to hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Wow.
That would completely drain their assets. Every year, they would have to pay this.
Because of the investment that they made, whatever it was. They probably were leveraged or something and actually owed money.
I don't know a damn thing about anything you're saying.
So there's a way to... It's kind of borrowing money. It's essentially borrowing money and betting that the stock market's going to go up, usually. There's also a way to do it that betting it's going to go down, but most people do it betting it's going to go up. And you get like 10 times the amount of money you actually have. So if you put in $100, you get like 100,000 basically.
It's gambling,
yeah,
really.
Totally. It is. And so if that investment goes way down, you actually owe shitloads of money.
And they owed shitloads of money.
Yes, that's probably what happened.
That they'd have to pay back for the rest of their living days.
Right.
So, basically, it would continue on until their deaths. So Mark informed Roderick of what happened.
Roderick's like getting his gloves on. He's like, here we go.
Again, the market crashed on October 5th. So this is now moving on to like October 9th-ish. Roderick contacts Mark with the idea of meeting up at their parents' house for a surprise celebration for their mom's 48th birthday. At this time, just to give you an idea, Nicholas was 56 years old. Okay. So he was older than his wife. Mm-hmm. So at this point, Roderick was 22 and Mark was 21. They're young.
Yeah.
I'm talking about flats here and there. They're young.
Yeah, I'm picturing like late 20s or something. Huh.
Nope. Very early 20s.
Yeah.
So on Friday, October 9th, 1987, Mark and Roderick flew back home to Jersey. Elizabeth booked a reservation for the following evening at the Seacrest Hotel. At 11 a.m. that morning, which was Saturday, October 10th, Roderick drove a rented van to the capital of Jersey and purchased never good things, unless you're doing some gardening, perhaps. Mm-hmm. 2 shovels, 2 tarps, 2 flashlights, so maybe you're gardening at night, who knows. Batteries, a pickaxe, a saw, a rope, heavy-duty plastic, and upholstery cleaner.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe he was going to garden and his shoes would get dirty, which would then track onto the carpet, so then he wanted to clean the carpet.
Right.
You never know.
All verifiable things. That makes sense.
If somebody is at your checkout counter and they're purchasing these things, you might want to memorize that face.
Right.
So as Roderick was doing this, his mom was home. She was clearing out some of their old belongings, like Mark and Roderick's when they were younger, because, of course, they've moved from the crow's nest to the smaller bungalow. They need to make space. So this included nunchucks. Is that how you say it? Is it nunchucks?
So. It depends how it's spelled, I guess. And
it's spelled with N-U-N.
Yeah, so just say
Nunchucks.
Yeah.
I always thought it was numchucks.
Yeah, I think that's a standard thing. It's yeah. And you spell it, I think both is acceptable.
Okay. So this included a thing of Roderick's, which was nunchucks, that he used when he was younger and practicing martial arts. Mm-hmm. So at 6 p.m. that evening, the family began to get ready for dinner when Nicholas realized, again with their big social life, that he had double booked themselves that evening. And they had planned to get together with a friend who shared Elizabeth's birthday. So to kind of balance out the both plans. That evening, they headed out at around 7 p.m. to grab a quick drink with their friends. They left a bottle of champagne at home for their sons to enjoy until they got home and headed out to the reservations.
Okay.
So that evening, Mark volunteered to be the designated driver, but his car was having trouble, so he drove Roderick's rented van to the parents' house and arrived at 8 p.m. The supplies that Roderick had purchased earlier that day sat in the back seat of the van. Whether Mark noticed them or not, who knows? We don't know.
Well, you see some shovels and tarps and stuff, and you're like, okay, well, he's doing some
Yeah,
work
but
somewhere.
Roderick doesn't live there. He's
Right.
visiting. Like,
Oh.
what in the hell are you purchasing shovels for when you're here just to celebrate your mom's birthday?
Maybe like a anniversary hole or birthday
maybe he was
hole.
gonna dig for a lemon tree
Mhm.
to signify his mom's 48th birthday.
Mhm.
You never know. So, the boys arrived at their parents' house at 8:04 p.m., though their parents were still nowhere to be found. And it sounds like they didn't communicate that they were going to their friend's house. So they're like, where's mom and dad? Hello, we're going
Yeah.
to dinner. So soon their parents arrived back from their friend's house. Nicholas opened the champagne for the family to enjoy before they headed to dinner. At 9:15 p.m., the family headed out for dinner. Pardon me. I know it's annoying. At 9:30 p.m., the family sat at the dinner table at the Seacrest Hotel. Mark drank soda while the rest of the family drank through 2 bottles of champagne and 3 bottles of wine, keeping in mind they had already enjoyed a bottle of champagne at home.
That's pretty good. 2 bottles of champagne, 3 bottles of wine between 3 people. So a
yeah,
bottle
and
each.
Nicholas and Elizabeth had gone for drinks at their friend's house.
Right.
Too.
So at least a bottle of wine each and 3 bottles of champagne between the 3 of them.
Yeah, it was a lot of alcohol. So they drank through all of this alcohol as they enjoyed their seafood dinner. Nicholas and Elizabeth were celebrating not only Elizabeth's birthday, but also that the family was all together.
Yeah, you got to do that. It's not often that you have.
Oh my goodness.
You're going to have to stop.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I apologize for the editing on the video. We'll be right back.
And we're back. We had to take a little break. I had a bit of a coughing fit.
You did, but you're better now.
I'm better. I might be a little red-faced if you're watching the video.
Yeah.
Might have some tears streaming down my eyes, but we're good. We're good. So, Nicholas and Elizabeth were celebrating not only Elizabeth's birthday, but also the fact that their whole family was together again.
Yeah.
Because
it's
obviously they're kind of scattered all over.
something to celebrate for sure.
Exactly. So Mark treated the family to dinner that night, and at midnight they arrived back home. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have dinner at 10 p.m.? Who has dinner at 10 p.m.?
Like we talked about last time. What do you people on cocaine?
Exactly. Party animals.
Yeah.
So when they got home, Mark basically headed out. He went back to his Jersey house almost immediately, driving Roderick's van home. Elizabeth soon headed to bed, and Nicholas and Roderick opened a bottle of their favorite scotch. So
Wow.
apparently the multiple bottles of champagne and wine, they wanted a nightcap.
Well, if you're people that are constantly out, like, having fun with friends and stuff, they probably drink a lot and having, when we used to drink a lot more, that wasn't a lot for me. But, if I could easily have a bottle of wine, some champagne, and maybe some scotch. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
I'd probably have been under the table, but
Yeah, you're small.
so they were basically having a nightcap, just Nicholas and Roderick, father-son time. So they started to discuss Roderick's life in the army and where he saw it going. At 1:30 a.m., Roderick told his father that he wanted to leave the army. Nicholas was stunned and very disappointed with this news. The two began to fight, both intoxicated at this point.
Nice. Those
Yeah.
are always the worst, like you're going to do something you regret.
Never have a important conversation when you're intoxicated.
I don't know. Sometimes they're easier when you're intoxicated.
No way. God, what a horrible idea. If you're wasted, you shouldn't be having conversations about life changes.
Wasted is different than intoxicated.
Well, they were intoxicated. They had had several bottles of wine.
Wasted is what you mean.
Well, they were intoxicated.
Yeah, I mean, a little drunk, a little buzzy. I think that's the best time to have a
I
good
think they were
conversation.
probably beyond buzzed at this point.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
So Elizabeth had just gone to bed, so she was eavesdropping at the door. She heard Roderick accuse his father of neglect. Nicholas told his son to leave. He's like, get out of here. Roderick refused, so Nicholas pushed Roderick. He fell and struck his head on the table as he fell. Roderick at this point was filled with rage and grabbed the nunchucks. It was the first thing he saw. It was literally just sitting in a box there
Yeah.
because his mom was organizing that day. So he grabs the nunchucks and begins striking his father repeatedly.
Oof, you get one hit to the head from the nunchucks and you're in bad shape.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
So he was repeatedly striking him in the head as Elizabeth was watching in horror.
I mean, these are like hard wooden staffs, basically, that are probably, 2 feet long each or something like that, 1.5 feet long each. And that's, I mean, solid wood. Like, imagine getting basically hit on the head with
like a baseball bat.
Yeah, right, basically.
My brother had nunchucks, of course.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. He had nunchucks and those Chinese stars.
Yeah, that's what they called them.
Yeah, that we would like throw into wood.
Used to get them from like magazines and stuff. And nunchucks because of I was big like from Cobra Kai and like Karate Kid.
Wasn't it like
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
What was not Jackie Chan? Who was the other guy? I don't know if he did nunchucks. Was it
Bruce Lee?
Bruce Lee, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know,
I
but
mean, sure, he was a master of a lot of things, but I picture him for his like 1-inch punch or something. He'd be like, Ugh.
So I actually hit myself in the head with nunchucks before.
I could see that.
Not like on a full swing, but where it like swung back. Yeah, it hit me right in the head. It didn't feel good. So he's striking his father at full force in the head.
And a guy that's trained in these things too.
Yeah. So again, Elizabeth is seeing this happen. So she backs into the bedroom as Roderick begins striking her in the head, just as he did his father. Both parents now lay dead, bludgeoned to death by their son.
I wonder if he planned this. Like, I know obviously he bought the shovels and crap, but like, I wonder if he would have just gone had his head not hit the table, or if he's just saying that. We don't really know.
We'll find out a little tiny bit more as the story goes on.
Okay.
So Elizabeth ended up suffering from 7 head wounds, and Nicholas had 8 head wounds. The house was sprayed with their blood.
Oh, man.
So now Roderick is in panic mode.
You're looking like, I got to clean all this, like, to get away with it?
What am I going to do?
Basically, you got to turn yourself in, it seems like, but
and
I'm sure he didn't.
I'm sure that sobered him up real quick.
Yeah.
So he calls his brother Mark for help.
Bud, I just killed our parents.
Can you imagine getting that phone call?
Buddy.
You're home after a celebration dinner, and you get a phone call from your brother just an hour or so later that he's killed your parents.
Oh, man.
So he told Mark that if you don't come and help me, I'm going to kill myself. So Mark gets in his car and speeds over to his parents' house. There he helped Roderick with the cleanup. They wrapped their parents' bodies in tarps, of course. Roderick had these tarps. He purchased them.
Yep.
Which is concerning. Mark's probably like, where the hell you got those out of your van?
Right. As Mark's coming, he's like, oh, you happen to have 2 tarps.
You had these.
Let me guess, you have 2 shovels.
So they placed their parents' bodies in Roderick's van, and they drove to a wooded area at the north end of the island behind where their childhood home stood. They lit a bonfire, burned their parents' clothes and possessions, including Nicholas's pipe that he had smoked and his glasses. They dug a trench and buried their parents' bodies and headed back to the house to the big job of their cleanup. So they turned up the heat after they were done in order to help dry the carpets because they had a crap load of blood. Of course, Roderick had purchased the upholstery cleaner. Again, it's like, oh, now you're pulling upholstery cleaner out of your van.
Yeah.
You seem pretty prepared for this. So
and he's probably telling him like, oh, my dad and I got in an argument, and I hit him. I shouldn't have. I don't know. But
then it's like, oh, now mom's involved too. Like,
yeah.
So Roderick then took some of his parents' things and items that they used to clean up the blood. They burned them in a nearby field. So the next day, Mark and Roderick left Jersey. Mark flew back to his home in London, and Roderick headed back to the military base. Of course, they're leaving, and doing nothing else. Like, their parents' house is just sitting there empty.
Yeah.
So, again, the Newells were very social people.
Very social, yeah. People are going to come looking for them and calling them, and they're not going to answer, and things are going to be checked out very quickly.
Exactly. So, of course, friends are soon worried. They were unable to reach them. Their friend David Ellum went to the Newells' house and found 5 days of unopened mail there, as well as a hole in the roof. I guess a really bad storm had rolled through.
Oh, wow.
So there's just a hole sitting in the roof that obviously they would have had repaired had they been there.
So before then that they were gone.
And they would have been told by their friends that they were leaving. Because, of course, they could have. They had a yacht. They had the villa in Spain.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have just left like that.
Right.
So... of course, they immediately call Roderick and Mark. Hey, we can't find your parents. We're worried. So,
Roderick's like, whoa, really?
Whoa.
Oh, no, I got to check this out.
I just smoked a joint.
On the base.
On the army base. I'm part of the Green Berets.
Right.
Was it the Green Berets?
Something beret, yeah.
So they fly back to Jersey, acting as concerned sons.
Yeah.
And then the police are contacted as well. So detectives interviewed both Mark and Roderick. Obviously, they went to dinner that night. They were likely the last people to see their parents.
Right.
So they're being interviewed. They spoke with Mark first. Detectives said he appeared normal during their discussion. However, while they were having their discussion, they wanted them to be separate.
Sure, to match their stories.
Of course. But during their discussion, Roderick continued to bust into the room, saying he wanted to be part of the conversation. Never a good look.
No. I mean, that's not guilty, but it is something.
It's a red flag.
Yeah.
So the detective
Suspicious.
said when he was barging back into the room, he was very agitated in his demeanor.
Okay.
So the boys claimed to have spent the night at Mark's house, returning to their parents' house the next morning for breakfast and lunch. They said they left Sunday afternoon around 3 p.m. While they were there, their mom's friend Maureen Elam, who was married to David, who came to the house and saw the mail there, had brought flowers for Elizabeth because, of course, it's her birthday. But they told her that Elizabeth was still sleeping. But it sounds like it was pretty late in the day. But again, they went out, they drank, so maybe she was still sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So they said that when they left back to go to their own homes, everything was normal. They were both consistent in the story. And they said, again, that each had slept the night at Mark's house. They both said that. But then they started to get screwed up in little details. Like, where did you sleep in Mark's house? Oh, I slept on the couch. Oh, I slept in the room. The one said the other.
Well, why wouldn't... I mean, they slept there. They probably both did, right?
No, they didn't, because
Oh.
Roderick was at his parents' house attacking his parents.
Well, I mean,
he never went back to Mark's house.
But they
to
slept at
sleep.
some point that night, right?
No, they buried their
All night?
parents and cleaned.
They stayed up all night?
They stayed up all night
Okay.
erasing the murder. They never went to Mark's house to sleep.
That's a big red flag.
So little details were not consistent.
Yeah.
Where they slept at Mark's house. Little things like that. So, Jersey police considered this a missing persons case and organized a huge search of the island, finding nothing. The residents of the island could not understand what could have happened to the couple. Forensic scientists spent 4 days combing through the interior of the house. They found blood stains in the lounge and in the bedroom. Of course, the carpet didn't show it. It was when they pulled it back because they cleaned.
Right.
It's exactly what happened. They found that the blood in the lounge matched Nicholas. The blood in the bedroom matched Elizabeth.
Right.
So now it's obvious that this is a murder case, not a missing persons case. There were cloth fibers found that matched the towels that were stored in the kitchen. Police concluded, again, it was a double murder. And Mark and Roderick were told what the detectives found. Both had no comment. Police
Now
believed...
they're like, yep, we're staying quiet from here on out.
Gotta shut my mouth.
Yep.
Police wholeheartedly believed that the two sons were involved in this. Because, again, they were the last people to see their parents.
Yeah.
But they had nothing to charge them on at this point. So hundreds of volunteers...
Well, they got to find a weapon or something like that.
Exactly.
They're just suspicion right now.
Yes, very strong suspicion. Hundreds of volunteers came together to look for their bodies. Because, again, it's an island. There's only so many places they could go. It's 5
to
miles
7
by
miles, you
9.
said? Yeah, 5 by 9.
Yeah.
So that's why I was surprised. You said there was a manhunt and everybody went searching and they didn't find anything. I'm like, that's not much of a hunt because, I mean, you would find the graves, right? You would think.
Yeah, they didn't.
Okay, not initially, but...
Helicopters were involved, dogs, radars, nothing. Nothing was found. Soon, Mark and Roderick headed back to their own lives, and the case basically hit a dead end. I did hear at one point that they also found the bonfire with the burned items. Some of the stories were inconsistent, but I did read that.
You would think. I mean, weird.
Well, again, it's not a huge place.
Right.
In the U.S. or whatever, or wherever you are, you can drive thousands of miles away to do these things.
Sure.
You only have so much space here. However, you do have the sea.
Right.
They could have put their parents' bodies in the sea.
Would have been the smart thing, I guess. Although maybe they'd bloat eventually and start floating, as we know.
Yeah.
I hate to talk so crassly.
I know, it's terrible because we're talking about two human beings.
Right. So that's you'd want them to decompose and eventually just go away. And I'm sure at this point, Roderick and Mark are just feeling like they got away with it. Like they're like, okay, I think we're good.
Yep, and especially now we're moving on to January 3rd, 1991. Over 3 years after the murders, the Newells were officially declared dead. The inheritance, because they're declared dead, is now up for grabs. Well, the sole beneficiaries are their two boys.
Sure.
So they inherited just under £1 million. Roderick then left the army and bought himself a yacht. I heard he bought a yacht or he took his parents' yacht. There were two different stories there. Regardless, he was sailing around the southern Atlantic. He arrived in Brazil in early 1992. He met a woman named Helena.
I would say Helena.
Helena Pado.
But, from here, so I don't know how they
Thank
pronounce
you.
it there.
This cold medicine just doesn't sit right in the brain.
You're okay.
And they lived together for 6 months. So he kind of settled in Brazil for a bit and lived with this woman. Mark continued to excel in his career in banking. He owned homes in London and Paris. And 5 years after the murders, they were no closer to being solved. I mean, and again, as the years pass, it's like it starts to kind of taper and fade away.
Yeah, the feelings and stuff. You're
You know,
okay.
the
you
momentum.
Forget about it a little bit.
The momentum fades.
Yeah.
So on the outside, Roderick's looking like he's living the dream. He's sailing around. He's not working. But on the inside, he was being eaten alive
by his parents.
What he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm surprised he has a conscience.
I was actually very surprised by that.
Yeah.
I did not think he would give a flying hoot.
Right.
But he did.
Hey, watch your language.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
So in July of 92, Roderick sailed back to the UK to visit Aunt Nancy. During one evening, he let it slip that he knew how his parents died.
He just wanted to get it off
He
his
had
chest.
to get it off his chest.
Yeah, it's like they say, like if you cheat on your loved one or something, and it's like over, like don't bring it up because you're only helping yourself here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're gonna hurt somebody else and help yourself, and ultimately it's a net negative.
It's a very interesting thing, guilt.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
so he's getting
that need to just get it off your chest.
Yeah.
So I guess he was being kind of cryptic about it. He basically told Aunt Nancy, you wouldn't understand what happened, but didn't delve into any kind of details. So Aunt Nancy...
And Aunt Nancy probably doesn't want to know either.
I mean, this is her sister and her brother-in-law.
I mean, I guess she does want to know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, she does want to know.
Get some closure.
Exactly. So Aunt Nancy called the police, who then contacted Stephen Newell, the brother, Nicholas's brother, who agreed to take part in a surveillance operation. I guess Roderick was going to be making his way to see Uncle Stephen. They were going to be meeting up.
Good.
So Stephen agrees. And Roderick met his father's twin brother, so Stephen was Nicholas's twin, at the Dunkfield House Hotel. The Jersey detectives arranged to have the conversation recorded with the help of Scottish police.
Nice.
Little did Roderick know, as he's talking with his uncle, 2 rooms away, they have a whole, setup of people.
Well, like you picture the things spinning and
Exactly.
a couple guys in there with headphones, like, okay, here's what he's
Yep,
gonna say.
that's exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
So initially the conversation was just surface level. What have you been up to? Because he's been sailing around for a very long time.
It'd be a little fishy if he's like, so what'd you do with your parents?
Exactly. So Uncle Stephen's playing it cool. They're just chit-chatting, catching up. But finally, Stephen told Roderick that he had received an odd call from Aunt Nancy and asked him what that was all about, what he said to her.
Good.
And this changed the course of conversation, and Roderick began to talk, describing in detail how he beat his parents to death.
Ooh-wee.
So he really laid all his cards on the table. I think
he's being recorded.
he dipped his toe in the water with Aunt Nancy and then just dove in with
Mark,
Uncle Stephen.
Uncle Stephen's like, allowing him to take the cork out.
Yep.
Yeah.
He did say that Mark's involvement included burying his parents, helping to bury his parents. When Roderick finished his horrifying story, Stephen could only say, why? And Roderick's reply was, you wouldn't understand because I don't understand. So, despite the confession, Jersey police didn't have the jurisdiction in Scotland to arrest Roderick.
What the hell? That's crazy.
Yep.
Oh.
You got all those red tape, all those,
Yeah.
hoops you got to jump through. So they needed to follow him back to London. Just after 7 p.m., Roderick left the hotel, completely unaware that unmarked police cars were following him. However, he was in the army, he was trained to be aware of his surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had to have found out and looked in his rearview mirror because the police said he began to speed up
Okay.
and do a lot of zigging and zagging.
Take a couple left turns and be like, okay, yep, this guy's following me.
Exactly. So he got his speed as high as 100 miles per hour, but then he would slow down, clearly again wise to the fact that he was being followed.
Mm-hmm.
He pulled off and was somehow able to avoid the police, get to his boat, and sail away.
Wow.
So he got away.
Wow.
But then over a week later, he was spotted in Gibraltar.
Okay.
And the police called the Royal Navy, and after a 2-day pursuit, Roderick was found 150 miles southwest of Gibraltar. On August 6, 1992, Roderick was arrested, and about the same time, Mark was arrested at his flat in Paris by French police. There, propped on his windowsill of his Paris flat, sat the receipt from their dinner from the family's last meal.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like he saved it. I mean, it was
Yeah.
literally just propped on the windowsill.
Wow. Crazy.
And this was years later.
It's not like it was framed or anything. Like
No,
it was,
just propped.
Wow. So you must have been thinking about it or
Yes,
something.
I'm sure. I mean, you dug a friggin' hole and put your parents' bodies in there that were wrapped in tarp.
Man, that was his bad thing. Just helping him do it. Like, he should have been like, you got to go to the police.
I
man.
know.
Like, this isn't going to end well.
I think he was afraid of Roderick.
Yeah,
I really do.
You're probably right. Yeah.
So the Gibraltar courts deemed the confessions inadmissible, and the police were left to find more evidence.
Well, I was wondering because it wasn't his. You can't record somebody without their permission. I don't think.
I don't know. I
I'm-
mean, he said what he did.
I was as you were saying it. I'm like, I don't think this will be allowed in court, but we'll find out here.
It
That
blows my
sucks.
mind.
Yeah, because you're like entrapping them or something. It's I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why it's illegal.
It's
I'm
a
sure
friggin'
there's-
confession.
Yeah, but not meant to be a confession to the authorities. I don't know.
Yeah, but a lot of people won't confess to the authorities.
You're right.
So they began to search his boat. They found a book that contained the name of the woman he lived with in Brazil.
Helena.
Thank you. So they went down to Brazil to speak with Helena. Am I saying that right?
Let's just go with it.
How are you saying it?
Helena is how I say it, and it might be Helena for her, but
Oh
let's just
my
say Helena.
God.
I'm sorry.
I
Helena.
want to stay consistent. I'm
Helena,
sorry.
Helena.
So Helena told them that Roderick had confessed to her.
Oh, and she didn't tell anybody.
She didn't tell anybody.
I mean, I get it because, I mean, you're supposed to,
Yep.
based on the law. But,
Yep. So she's like, yes, he told me he killed his parents.
Okay, so we have witnesses now.
Yes. So now they're able to do something.
Okay.
So
They're not witnesses, but people that can say that he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Roderick was extradited to stand trial in Jersey with his brother. On the flight to Jersey, police showed Roderick a map of Jersey, asking them where could we find the bodies of Nicholas and Elizabeth. He held a pen and rolled it around an area of the map, marking a spot where he recalls them being buried. Police said at this point Roderick had a look of despair, knowing it was over.
Yeah.
So as they arrived,
Kind of. He probably relieved a little bit too.
I'm sure, because it was all on his chest,
Right.
haunting him, as
Yep.
it should have been.
Yep.
So as they arrived in Jersey, police immediately took Roderick to the spot that he had marked on the map. That night, they followed Roderick around in handcuffs, bringing detectives up and down this really hilly, grassy area. And they totally believed he knew exactly where they were buried, and he was completely screwing with
Well,
them.
I was like, where he recalled, it's like, where you buried your
You know
effing
damn
parents.
well on this little island where
Yeah.
you buried them.
Yeah, it's probably been eating you alive for years. Like, I know you can take us within 10 feet immediately.
But he was screwing with the police officers. So the police began to dig using mechanical diggers. They kept at it for 3 days, unable to find the bodies. Finally, they saw a foot and found the bodies of Nicholas and Elizabeth buried head to toe, tightly wrapped in tarps. They said that they were basically wrapped so tightly that it kind of preserved their bodies in a way.
Jeez.
It's very sad.
That's what I was wondering. Like, you
Yep.
got to have the dirt touching the skin in order, I mean,
And oxygen.
I
you
only
know?
think that because we have a compost bin in the back, and it's just, it's disgusting to even think about.
It's horrific.
Yeah.
Nicholas was found in the jacket that he had worn to their celebratory dinner, and Elizabeth was in her nightgown. The bodies were removed and post-mortem examination was done. Roger confessed to the murders, saying that he killed his parents in a fit of rage. After 6 years, Roderick was found guilty of murder, and Mark was convicted of assisting in the crime and the conspiracy to conceal it.
Yep.
On August 8th, 1994, Roderick began a double life sentence, and Mark received 6 years. Roderick continued to say that the murders were not premeditated, but...
Bullshit. You bought all the shit.
Yes, and hold on, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee.
No, I mean, you bought tarp, you bought shovels. I can't remember the other things, but there was
Pickaxe.
Pickaxe. Like, you can't. It's impossible. Maybe they weren't. Maybe you had second thoughts, but you definitely bought this shit with intent to bury your parents.
Exactly. Not only that, but an autopsy showed high levels of phenobarbital in Nicholas's liver and stomach. And I know phenobarbital as a epilepsy drug.
Uh-huh.
My aunt had epilepsy, Aunt Bernice.
Okay.
So she took that drug, but I guess it's also used as a sedative. I don't think Nicholas must have been prescribed this drug, but there was question whether it was prescribed or had he been drugged.
Right.
So that they
By
don't,
Roderick.
they really don't know the answer to that.
Huh. You would think that his mom would be his first like target, I guess. You know, but that's interesting.
The pathologist also found six lacerations at the back of Nicholas's head that didn't come from the nunchucks.
Huh.
So Roderick, said he only used that in a fit of rage. It was the first thing that he grabbed. It's not consistent.
Well, what if these automated digging tools like scrapped the back of
No,
his head?
it appeared to have been from a pickaxe.
Oh my God.
It was a small point.
Well, he's like, I bought it. May as well use it.
But they wondered at what point did that happen?
Maybe he was burying him or something.
No, because they were already dead.
Yeah.
So
Well, he
would
probably
have
already-
had gone to the van to take it.
Yeah,
but
and I don't
his
think he
story
had-
said, I grabbed the closest thing to me and just began
Oh, right.
in a fit of planned rage.
So the story might not be accurate.
The story is not showing to be accurate.
Okay.
And they'll never know.
Right.
They'll never know because he's sticking with what he said.
Okay, so it could all be, yeah.
This could all be bullshit.
Yeah, be like, all right, well, have a great night, guys. And it's like he goes to his car, gets his pickaxe.
Well, and then drugged his father with
Yeah.
a sedative, possibly.
Right.
They don't know. And also, does Mark know more than what he's leading to the police?
You would. I kind of trust Mark a little bit more.
Yeah,
At this point.
I'm thinking Mark. His story is what it was.
What else? They can't give him any more time. I mean, they're being nice to him, giving him only 6 years, basically. But-
However, Mark was released May 23rd, 1996, after serving only 20 months.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he. I get it. Like, especially if his story is like, I was afraid. He's punched my mother before. I thought he'd kill me. I just wanted to do whatever he wanted because he was a trained military officer.
Sure.
You can definitely make your story pretty convincing.
Yeah, he was a head case. He's trained in the military. I'm scared shitless of the guy.
Right. And how many months you said?
20.
20 months. So
Yeah.
almost 2 years. Okay.
So former Detective Inspector Graham Nimmo, who worked on the case for 2 years before retiring in 1990, criticized the decision for early release, saying that the brothers cost the island and authorities a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah, but how are you going to get it back? Him staying in jail longer? That's going to get your money back?
Well, he's like, it was basically a slap on the wrist is what it was.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I kind of support the time. What do you think?
I mean, I don't.
You think
He
longer?
lied. He was interviewed by these police officers and lied and lied and lied and let them go on this wild goose chase through the island. And like this detective inspector said, the investigation took longer than the time that Mark served, and many, many, many arduous hours were spent searching for the missing couple. He said that all the lies Mark told caused the case to drag on, which caused distress to the family who didn't know what happened to them.
Well, I mean, the all the lies afterwards came from the lie in the initial time that he didn't do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how many times you lied. It's just, it's all from the same event.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He wanted him to serve at least 4.5 years of his 6-year sentence.
Okay, guy. Like, you don't make up the things.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't. Now, this is the part that I don't understand. So, Roderick is given a double life sentence.
Yeah.
He was released on my birthday, May 24th, 2007, after serving 12 years.
That's completely fucked. I don't even know how that happened.
How?
Well, Mark must have paid somebody or something like that. I'm sorry if I don't know.
I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, I don't know if that's possible or if that happens. I don't know if I get in trouble for saying that, but
He killed both of his parents, buried them, and lied, and got 12 years prison
something's
sentence.
fishy there. Something's
Double
very
life
fishy.
sentence.
Right.
I'm confused. And I couldn't find out why.
Say what you will about the death penalty, whether that's like moral or not, but it's like you would think of a double life sentence, meaning I heard this like comedians say it, meaning that he has to die, and then if he was born again,
die again.
then he would like have to go to jail again, and then he'd have to die again.
That's what it means to me, but
Yes.
apparently it only means 12 years.
That is crazy. If this dude is out and about, like,
Oh, this dude is out and about.
oh,
And
gosh.
he has fallen off the face of the earth.
Yeah, because he's a scumbag, scary piece of
So, when found guilty, Roderick was banned from inheriting more of his parents' estate.
shit. I don't know who can make that decision.
Wow. But you killed them. You're going to get their money?
Well, I mean, who decides that?
I don't know.
Like
I guess
it
the laws.
It doesn't matter if you're like a dictator that is responsible for genocide. If your family left you money, you still get it.
I don't know. So, however, Roderick remained close contact with Mark, who did have access to about half of the £1 million that were left. Which, of course, Mark is a smart guy. He invests.
Of course.
They believe it had gone up to about $3 million at this point, at the time that Roderick was getting out of jail, and they believe there's no doubt in their mind that he got at least £1 million.
Sure.
At least.
Yeah.
So a report in 2006 indicated that Roderick was on day release from Ford Open Prison working as an IT lecturer at a college. And he was going by the name Rod Nelson. The college principal said that Roderick should be allowed to get on with his life. Well, that's kind of funny because Elizabeth and Nicholas can't get on with their lives.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I find it bizarre. Like, he viciously murdered his parents.
Yeah, it wasn't an accident.
Oh, let him get on with his life.
If it was like an accident or something, that's one thing. But this is something premeditated. He definitely wanted to do it. Like, that's, yeah.
This sickens me.
I don't know how you can have that thought that he already served his time and he's fine.
He describes...
The one thing, I guess, he's not going to... I'm pretty confident he probably won't kill other people, but at the same time, like, if he has a wife or something that crosses him, it's not against the...
It was all money driven, really. He was disgusted that his parents kind of tossed him into boarding school and that they were squandering his money.
That happens to a lot of people and they don't kill their parents.
The whole thing too is like, it's not your money, dude. This is your parents' money.
Right. You just chalk it up to, there's people that like blame other people for a lot of things. And then there's people that are like, well, I got to pick myself up by my bootstraps and make the best of it.
I think he felt like his parents owed him this money and they're blowing it.
What's nice, being from a rich family, he probably had plenty of contacts that could still make him a lot of money. So his parents are very social. I have no doubt his parents knew people that owned big businesses that he could probably get really good jobs from.
Well,
really
and Mark
cushy.
probably too.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Mark, his brother, the finance guy. I mean, he had options basically.
Of course, but he was lazy.
Yeah, but this isn't like somebody that comes from like nothing and then has no contacts and nothing. Like you have plenty of resources to make plenty of money here.
But it all stemmed from that market crash.
Yeah.
Knowing that his parents were going to have to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds every year to pay back.
Well,
That's
shit,
what triggered him to plan this birthday celebration. He used his mom's birthday as an excuse to get him out there.
I guess I missed that he planned it.
He planned it.
Roderick did.
It all came immediately after he found out from Mark that the market crashed and his parents lost everything.
Hey, let's get together.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Oh, man. He's a... You know what? If you're a person that blames everybody for everything, then stop it. Just like pick yourself up.
Own it.
Do it. I mean, it sucks. Maybe you don't have a lot of options, but just try to make the best you can.
Of course, there's kids that come from, the lowest of the low. Their parents are on drugs. And I mean, they're starting out with their odds so stacked against them.
Yeah.
And sometimes they end up being amazing people. This kid was given opportunity. He was sent to this private school. And yes, he was away from his family, but he had opportunity. He just wanted to sit and smoke pot and sail around the world.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted.
Yeah. That's...
He didn't want to work for his money.
No.
So this same principal that said he should be able to get on with his life described Rod Nelson. I'm sorry, we're not talking about Roderick Newell any longer. He described his work as exemplary and resulted in the offer of employment as a technician. So he was employed. He was released in 2007. Uncle Stephen said that he has forgiven the boys and they should be left alone. And that's it. They fall off the face of the earth. There's nothing else. There's no other information beyond like 2006.
I mean, you could probably find Mark on LinkedIn, I would imagine.
Oh, I'm sure. Unless he changed his name. I don't know.
And off the top of your head, do you know how old they are? Probably 50s, 60s?
Well, this was in 1987. They were 21 and 22. So you do the math.
50s. Let's say 50s, 60s. Not willing to do that.
Yeah. We know my brain's not computing, so math isn't my strong suit to begin with.
Let's see. We're 20, 30, like 35 years-ish. 30, I don't know.
No, because... That was 1987.
Yeah. So we're 22 years into 2000s. And so that's like another 13 years.
I'm not going to have this conversation.
23 years.
I'm not going to have this conversation.
46, 50, something like that.
It's got to be longer than that, right?
Yeah. No.
In 1987, we were like 8 years old.
33 years, right? 80,
it was
90.
8. We were 8 years old. Now we're 42.
Here,
oh my God.
Bear with us, folks.
This is really embarrassing.
Okay, so we got 87. Round it up.
Oh my God.
Allison, listen, round it up to 90. Okay, that puts us 10 years into 2000. Well, how many years into 2000 are we?
I'm so uncomfortable right now.
2022, right?
Yes.
So that's 22 years plus 10 is like 20. Yeah, 20 for 32. 32 years plus another 3, 35. So 35 years older than 20. What, 26?
They were 21 and 22.
Okay, 30, 40, 50. Yeah, 55, 60-ish area.
Okay. I think they were probably
You're
older
sweating.
than that.
You are
I'm
sweating.
sweating profusely.
Yeah, you could tell.
Let's just not talk about math anymore.
Well,
Let's talk about traveling.
Yeah, thanks for bearing with us.
Yeah,
there.
thank you so much. I'm so sorry that I'm not on my top
You're
game.
fine. Don't apologize. So everything's good. So that was a stunning story. And Rod Nelson, if you're listening, you're a piece of shit. And
Get a job and don't kill your parents. How about that?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
live by that philosophy.
Yeah.
And I'm so...
What happened to you sucked. I'm sorry that your parents spent all that money and like whatever, it crashed and whatever. But you have
Shit happens.
You have resources that many people would love to have. So just freaking.
And his parents were allowed to do whatever the hell they wanted to with their own damn money.
Right. And sure, they inherited it from their parents, and you didn't get some. That life happens.
I never have the feeling that my parents like owe me anything. Like I don't look at their money as I'm a grown ass woman as mine.
Right. Like my parents did decently well. I'm not expecting anything from anything.
Just
And
like
they gave me an awesome opportunity. They gave me a good education, and
you had your education paid for, which was like more
more
than most people can ever
yeah,
say.
Most people are hundreds of thousands in debt for college. So.
And that's like more than I could have ever asked for.
Right.
I just don't expect anything from anybody. It's like work your ass off, do your own shit.
You got to live in Jersey, a spectacularly awesome place.
Yeah,
in
your
the UK.
family had a yacht. You were able to sail. Like this
Look at
is
the good-
inexcusable, disgusting behavior that somehow resulted in 20 months and then 12 years for Roderick.
I hope Roger can get some mental help and get through this crap because just blame yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
Mark, I don't even know what to say to him.
sad ending for Elizabeth and Nicholas, who
Yeah.
had plenty of years of vivacious life ahead of them. But
Vivacious. You're a
vivacious.
reader. You read books.
It was snuffed out by a jealous rage.
Yeah. Well,
So
way to put that together. Good research.
until next time, we'll be back. And thank you all for being here. Thank you for being loyal to us and sending such nice reviews. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate it.
I got to tell you, the community so far that has come together for the Crime and Coffee couple is like fantastic. You guys are so cool and like
Awesome.
very complimentary, and like we want to keep this positive vibe going.
Absolutely. I was actually sitting out at our son's baseball game yesterday talking to my mom because we haven't caught up about the podcast. And I was just like, these people are amazing.
Like they send like nice notes and just like, you guys are really good together. Thank you so much. It means quite a bit.
It really does. It boosts us up. It keeps us going. It puts that fire under our butts to do the research and give you guys good content because you deserve it. You're here listening to us.
Yeah, 24 hours before the show, I'm ready to start my research. So, just reading those
Hashtag this is my life.
Yeah. So, no, thank you so much. Hey, I wish I had more coffee, but I'm going to cheers you anyways. I'm all
Until
done.
next time.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.